We're going to hear from a woman who is currently homeless with her young children, living in hellish conditions in temporary accommodation in Dublin. This is coming off of the back of a report that has just been published over the last few days that homelessness in Ireland is going from bad to worse. It was appalling to begin with, but it's getting progressively worse. It's doubled over the last 10 or so years, and they reckon it will potentially double again by 2030. This is against the backdrop of a chronically failing Irish coalition government. So I suppose you could say that this is not surprising to many people, but for the people that are suffering from it, it is adding salt into their already open wounds. So let's hear from this lady first, who gives an account of what it's like in temporary accommodation. And then we're going to rewind time back to 2016. We're going to hear Micheál Martin standing in the Dáil in 2016 as the opposition, talking about it's a disgrace that any family and any child should be living in temporary accommodation in Dublin. This was 9 years ago. And now here he is presiding over this chronic problem that Ireland has. So let's hear from this lady first, and then we'll hear, unfortunately, from Micheál after that.
I've been in this emergency accommodation the last 13 months, back homeless the last 13 months. It's having so much effects on my children to where they don't even want to go up and go to school, they don't even want to go out and socialise, they're getting social anxiety, they're being depressed. Like my little young one is 8 years of age and she has anxiety. She never had it before, up until we were homeless. Well, yeah, I'd love to be able to give them their own little place they can call a home, their own room, their own life. I'm not having to walk out the streets and see all sorts.
You know, that's a damning statement that woman comes out with. The thing that hit me most about it was when she said, I would even love to give my own kids their own room in a home or in an accommodation. They don't even have their own room. They're all living together in one room in Dublin. And she's worried about the effects that it's having already on her 8-year-old. And this woman here, you can tell, is under severe mental pressure and anxiety. You can't even begin to imagine what it must be like living in one room with 4 kids for 13 months, with them all developing health issues, mental issues, and the same with her, and not having any end in sight. That is torture. That is evil. And that is wickedness. So let's hear what Micheál Martin had to say in 2016 about this very issue, and dare I say, concerning many women and many men and children that are in the same position as this woman.
In one story, Taoiseach, how this government just doesn't get it, what it's like for people to be in hotel rooms all over the city and across the country.
Listen to that. This government doesn't get it. This government doesn't get it, what it's like for men and women and children to be in hotel rooms all across the country. And we've just heard from one under his watch as Taoiseach. That man is an absolute disgrace and should resign immediately with his head hung in shame.
1,600 children in emergency accommodations of the kind we saw on the programme the other night.
1,600 children in emergency accommodation. The number is now over 5,000 for the first time under Micheál Martin's watch. The great thing about the internet and the great thing about the fact that everything is recorded is there's a permanent stamp and there's a permanent record of what these weasels and rats did and said, and they can be held accountable to it as per now. So under his watch at this time, the 1,600 unacceptable figure for children back in 2016, 1,600 under his watch has now risen to over 5,000 and counting. And counting.
Who was in charge, Taoiseach? And why didn't the state buy those apartments and get the families out of the hotels, out of the damp rooms, out of the bedsits?
Why didn't the state get the families out of the damp rooms and out of the bedsits, says Micheál Martin, as 16,000 people currently languish homeless in Ireland, including over 5,000 children. This is the position that we're in today. And this is a report that was published today, or a clip that was published today by a mainstream media source giving a summary of the hellish chronic condition that Ireland is in at the minute.
It's been described as a dark day for the country. The latest homeless figures, like so many before, are record-breaking. The stats show there are more than 16,000 people living in emergency accommodation, the highest number yet. That includes 11,044 adults. And for the first time ever, there are more than 5,000 children in this country growing up in hotels and
5,000 plus. Mayhole Martin said 1,600 was unacceptable. What are the government doing about it? This was in 2016, and it's went from 1,600 up to 5,000 under his watch and the watch of Simon Harris, and all that shower in the doll. Disgraceful. Disgraceful. The shame.
B&Bs.
That's 5,014 children that we actually know about. The true figure is a lot higher than that.
5,000 that we know about. The actual real figure is much higher than that. Those are the lowball figures, and they're horrific enough as it is. But the real figures are much higher than that. And Martin still keeps his job and keeps the roof over his head, while women like that lady and her children are living in destitution and squalor.
And the absolute brass neck of this government, because the former Minister for Housing, Minister O'Brien, signed the Lisbon Declaration committing to ending homelessness by 2030. Under the current trajectory, by the time 2030 comes, we'll probably have 30,000 homeless people.
This cannot be normal. We cannot accept that it has become normal and we have this monthly news announcement of absolute horror. We need to, scream.
One of the country's most
Muppet Murphy, standing there talking about Irish homelessness with his Palestine Gaza t-shirt on. You know, there's a time and a place, man. There's a time and a place. Put your own people first. Where you start pontificating and virtue signaling about something that's going on in the Middle East. Standing talking in a public place about Irish homelessness with that t-shirt on. You can support what you want. I don't care what your beliefs are. I couldn't care less who anybody supports, to be quite frank. But if your priorities lie outside of your own doorstep and your own country, there's something wrong up here, no matter who you are, in my opinion.
prominent homeless charities says the solutions they put forward have been largely ignored.
Some of the things that I hear is we can't do that or all the landlords will leave. So I do think there's a for-profit industry that maybe threatens and lobbies, and our voices aren't seen as important because we're not bringing money or jobs into the economy or whatever.
The charity Focus Ireland said it was truly shocking to see homeless figures have nearly doubled since 2021. It pointed out that as pupils return to school this week, the equivalent of 220 classrooms of children are homeless. Hannah Murphy, Virgin Media News.
The equivalent of 220 classrooms of children are homeless, and the numbers are creeping up. It's not just every year they just spike up. They're going up month after month, week after week, month after month, year after year, and have been doing for over a decade. It's an absolute disgrace. The actual proper official figures that they're putting in here as well. Over 5,000 recorded homeless last month. Figures published by the Department of Housing show there's now over 5,000 children without a home living in state-provided accommodation. The figures also show the country's homeless population is also increasing, exceeding 16,000 compared to 15,915 in June. So that's an increase of about 140 in the last month or so. So what's that? Let's say 2 months, 60. Two a day, 2 people a day are being added to that every single day in, day out. Focus Ireland said it was truly shocking. The number has nearly doubled in 4 years, from 8,000 people in July 2021 to 16,000 in July this year. And those lowlives continue to keep a roof over their heads in the Dáil. And anywhere else in the world, any other government that has a problem like this, how they can sleep in their own beds at nights beyond me. They should be put into temporary accommodation. They should be put into the hostels. And those families should be given their houses until they sort this problem out. And let me tell you this, if that was to happen, the problem would be sorted out just as quick as you like. There's no consequence. There's no accountability. There's no love. There's no compassion, nothing. Chief Executive of Focus Ireland said it was awful. The figure has risen to 5,000 for kids. adding that 5,000 was the equivalent of 220 primary school classes of children. And as for the lady that you saw at the beginning of the video, her name is Lisa. Living in emergency accommodation for over a year since her HAP landlord sold up. She and the kids aged between 1 and 8 now share a single room in a guest house in the middle of Dublin. Can you even begin to comprehend what that's like? One room for her plus 4 children. That's 5 people in a single room in a guest house with other rooms being occupied in a not very nice area. It's been hard, but for the sake of the kids, there's not much they can really do in the building. There's no support. The impact on our children is profound. It's having so many effects. They don't want to get up and go to school. They don't want to go out and socialize. They're getting social anxiety. They're depressed. And that's a group of children between 1 and 8, let alone the mother. What hell? She explained the space where they live is tight. It's a 1-bedroom with 3 beds in it and a cot and a bathroom, and there's not much space. Not quite like Micheál Martin's house, I would imagine. Not quite like Simon Harris's house, I would imagine. Not quite like any of that share that are in the coalition. Put them in there and move this lady Lisa and her 4 children into their house and tell them you can move back in once she has a home of her own, or at least the children have a room of their own to call theirs. That's the state of play at the minute. You need to share this content. I don't care what you do with it. You can chop it up, use it yourself, do whatever you want with it, but get it out there. Cut and paste the link, drop it into Facebook groups, drop it into Instagram group, do whatever, I don't know. Send it out in email, send it to people you love, send it to people you hate, let people see what's going on. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. But for now, I'm Rick Munn. This is No Risk, No Reward Media, over and out.